ordered a complete blockade of sanctioned oil tankers in Venezuela. He says it will only get bigger until Venezuela returns, quote, all of the oil and land assets that they previously stole from us, end quote. CBS News correspondent Natalie Brand joins us now with more on this. There you are, Natalie. Good morning again. Good morning once again to you. What new details are we learning about this blockade? Because it's yet another escalation from the White House.
Yeah, Errol, yet another escalation, but at this point we don't have a lot of details about exactly how this is going to work or the end goal of it, other than this lengthy social media post by the president late last night in which he announced this blockade on, quote, all sanctioned oil tankers, sanctioned a key word there, going in and out of Venezuela. He also alleged that the Maduro regime, he called the illegitimate Maduro regime, is using oil to fund drug terrorism. This is yet another form of economic pressure that the Trump administration is putting on Venezuela. Oil, a key source of revenue for the country. It comes on top of what we've seen, this massive military buildup off the coast of Venezuela and these continued strikes on alleged drug boats. But what's really interesting, Errol, is yesterday we were covering, those closed briefings over on Capitol Hill, all-member briefings. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Defense Secretary Hegseth were there talking to lawmakers about what's going on off the coast of Venezuela. And key lawmakers from both sides say that they really are left unclear what the end strategy is here. They want more details about what exactly the administration is trying to accomplish.
All right, Natalie, we will check back in with you in just a moment. So please do stand by, because we now want to get insight from retired Navy Vice Admiral Robert Murrett. He's the Deputy Director of Syracuse University's Institute for Security, Policy and Law. Mr. Admiral, thanks for being with us. Help us understand what appears to be a dramatic escalation of months-long pressure on Venezuela and specifically Maduro. What stands out to you about how the administration is increasing pressure on the Maduro regime?
Yeah, great question, Errol. First, it's good to be back with you and the team. I would say that a lot of that remains to be seen. It was originally pitched by the White House as a complete blockade, but the major caveat in the announcement by the president that it would just involve all sanctioned vessels, which is only a subset of the tanker ships that are going in and out of Venezuela. So I think the details are important. We'll probably learn a lot more about that in the hours and days ahead. Now, having said that, we did have a boarding of a sanctioned vessel just last week, which was successful, led by the Coast Guard. So we already have a placeholder in terms of what that might look like in the future.
So the fact that these are only focused on sanctioned vessels is a significant caveat to this. Is the administration trying to have a more firm positioning, more direct rhetoric than actions taken? Because the strikes on alleged drug boats do seem to be quite an aggressive approach as far as what might happen next.
Yeah, although they're more limited in scope and very different in character. As you know, Errol, the attacks for drug-related activity, both in the Atlantic and more recently in the Eastern Pacific, are being treated as Defense Department operations. As you know, the boarding that we had on the merchant vessel last week off the coast of Venezuela, right off the coast of Venezuela, was a law enforcement operation announced by the Department of Justice with the U.S. Coast Guard, which has arrest authority in the lead for that operation. So they really are apples and oranges. And just a final comment, Errol, I think we have to, step back and take a look at the overall mission set that we have for what's known as Operation Southern Spear by U.S. Southern Command. The scope and the duration of that operation is pretty significant, and these are about subsets of the overall military footprint that we have in the South right now.
Yeah, we'll keep watching this closely. Bob Murrett, appreciate your time. Thanks for being with us today.
Best wishes, Errol.
And we are following other major headlines for you from the White House, and that includes a dignified transfer happening today for National Guardsmen killed in Syria. Let's bring back our Natalie Brand. As you know, she's at the White House to help us understand about how this dignified transfer will happen. Natalie?
Errol, yeah, the president will be traveling to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware to take part in this very solemn process, obviously the most solemn that a commander-in-chief has to undertake to honor those 2 service members who were killed over the weekend in that attack in Syria. We've learned they were members of the Iowa Army National Guard. They've been identified as Sergeant Edgar Torres Tovar, just 25, and Sergeant William Howard, 29. Obviously, again, this is a solemn process aimed at making sure that all fallen service members who die killed in action get to their final resting place with dignity and respect. According to our CBS station in Iowa, Senator Chuck Grassley also expected to be there. President Trump, who attended dignified transfers during his first term, has described this as the toughest thing he has to do as president. I also want to note that we will be hearing from President Trump later today, potentially taking questions as he departs for this dignified transfer, but also a scheduled primetime address tonight at 9 p.m., where the White House says he's expected to touch on accomplishments over the past year and looking ahead to next year. Errol.
All right, we'll all be watching. Natalie, thank you so much.